What's up, and welcome back to Cleats to Whistle podcast. I am your host, Brad Valdez, and man, we are here with Coach Brock Roberts, man, back at North Oldham, and we got this guy here. Coach McGraw is in the house, man. You got a little promotion. There it is. Let's go, kid. I'm excited, man. I'm just excited to be back here at North. Good things happening, man. Good things are happening up here.
Yeah, we definitely feel like we have some good things going and a lot of excitement heading into the season. So we'll see how it goes.
There you go. And like I told you before, this is just an open floor podcast, man. You can promote whatever you want and just stay at the program, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. One thing that we kind of preached about in the off season is getting bigger, faster, stronger. So the first thing I kind of want to shout out is Coach McGraw. He's kind of taken on a new role for us this year. It started immediately after the season where he kind of manned our off-season strength training program. And he can touch base a little bit on this a little bit more in detail. But if I'm not mistaken, I think our kids put on about an average of 15 to 20 pounds of weight this off-season. So we've definitely gotten bigger. Kids are working hard, getting stronger. A lot of excitement heading into the season. The kids got a little bit of taste of success last year, so I think they're eager to kind of build on that and continue to put Mustang football on the map.
There it is. And Coach, yeah, you did get that little, that promotion, man. So you are the defensive coordinator.
Defensive coordinator, yeah.
There you go.
Pretty excited about it.
And you know what I mean? Stepping up to that, you know what I mean? You've been around the program, a while,
Yeah, I've been around the program community for quite some time. I was at middle school before coming up to help Coach Roberts last year. Spent a lot of time learning from Coach Franklin, Coach Smith last year, right? And valuable experience there. And looking forward to it. It'll be exciting. We've got a great group coming back from a defensive perspective. We'll do some things a little different, but excited about it.
Yeah, man, and that's what it is you trust in your instincts and your staff to to give them little promotions. This is for every level. If you're good, your coaches are going to get poached. Is that what happened here, or is just people just trying to maneuver to different spots?
No, so Coach Franklin last year, he obviously did a really good job with our defense, but I knew he was a head coach before, and I knew that his goal was to eventually become a head coach again, and he had a couple opportunities come his way, and that he had to accept for what he wanted in life and for his career. Tickled to death for him. With that, with him leaving meant I had to obviously find that replacement. And Coach McGraw and I talked a lot throughout the season, and I kind of saw his passion, saw the way he builds relationships with his kids, his knowledge of the game, his familiarity with the program and with the community. So, the shoe fit. I felt like it was the right choice for sure.
Yeah, and that's what it's about. Hiring those guys you can trust. With you going from the middle school back to the high school, that's just great because you've seen these kids throughout their career.
Yeah, I've seen them. I've seen a lot of them since they were 6, 7 years old. So I know a lot of them really well. And I think it's a blessing in a lot of ways. But at the same time too, I got to be careful because little Johnny at 12 ain't the little Johnny at 16.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, and make sure that I recognize that they are different. As they grow, and act accordingly.
Yeah, and your guys' relationship, man. Hey, it's kind of like blossomed together, man. Really, really nice.
Yeah, he's someone with me still being fairly young in my career. He's someone that I can kind of lean on and ask for advice. We joke in our group chat all the time because anytime we're talking, just as young coaches, he's always got the fatherly advice or the business side advice to things. So, he's always there to kind of keep us young guys grounded. We do have a very young staff. We have a few guys that have some experience or that older. So us young guys kind of, always leaning on the older guys to just learn from and pick their brain and trust their advice and expertise on things and just to kind of keep us grounded a little bit.
And this guy, has good taste, man. This guy has good taste in pizza. You know what I mean? And you know, when you're in a coach's office, man, you guys always has those little debates, man. And this guy over here. Okay, let's get your let's clear the air. Why is Pizza Hut better than Little Caesars?
Well, let me back up and give a little bit of background information. First of all, one thing, our staff, we like to eat. We're always talking about food. You know, when outside of football, that's kind of one of the jokes that we do is always talking about food. But the conversation came up a few weeks ago, and some of the coaches and the coach's office kept trying to tell me that Little Caesars actually is good pizza or good quality, and I personally think, you know, Little Caesars tastes like cardboard. I hate Little Caesars. My kids love it. My wife loves it. So we just kind of got in a debate back and forth whether Little Caesars or Pizza Hut has better pizza. I personally think Pizza Hut. Coach McGraw thinks Little Caesars. Obviously, you think Little Caesars as well. I can't believe it, but I would love to get some feedback on Twitter or Facebook for the listeners if you guys think Little Caesars or Pizza Hut. I will say I put a poll out on Facebook, and I'll let Coach McGraw give his side of the story. But Pizza Hut won by a landslide.
Really?
Yeah, but first of all, part of the Little Caesars is the value. Like, where can you go for $5.99 and get a pizza like that? Second of all, half the people that voted, they think about Pizza Hut in the 90s, like not the Pizza Hut of today.
True. Hey, that's true.
Half the people didn't even haven't. They haven't even tried it.
Pizza Hut in the 90s, Pizza Hut now. Pizza Hut sitting on the counter for 3 days is better than Little Caesars.
You know, now they got those cheese puffs or those
tried those.
puffs.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, they're the hands down. You know, the only thing I do like at Pizza Hut is the cinnamon, the breadsticks.
Yeah. I'm not a cinnamon guy. So.
No, oh, you're not. Oh, that's the only thing I like.
He's phenomenal at leading the football team. Phenomenal at calling plays. But outside of that, his judgment is terrible.
Yeah. Buffalo Wild Wings.
See, that's another thing they give me a hard time. I'm a big B-Dubs guy. They like Roosters. Give me B-Dubs every day of the week and twice on Sundays over Roosters.
But what's your sauce when you go there?
Spicy garlic every time. Haven't changed it since probably freshman year of high school.
I can't complain about this. No, I can't complain about that.
The sauces is one thing. But again, I'm a big dude. I like
the size of the wing matters, man.
The size of the wing matters.
But if we're talking Little Caesars is good for the price, then also I think B-Dubs is more for like the atmosphere. I think B-Dubs just has a better atmosphere than Roosters. You go watch a game, hang out with your boys, eat some wings. And I know Roosters is very similar, but give me B-Dubs.
No, me and Coach.
Team
me
Roosters.
And Coach, yeah. Team Roosters.
I'm 0-2 right now, I guess.
Team Little Caesars. Man, it feels like, man, I'm feeling attacked, man. I'm feeling attacked right now.
Unless we're about to do a fundraiser with B-Dubs, and I'll be Team B-Dubs.
See, there's the business side of him right there. I knew he couldn't keep it away.
Okay, man, let's get back to this team, man. You got this job really like kind of late last year, But this senior class, man, Jace, Mac, who is it? Noah. What is the other kid that just signed played linebacker?
Carter Duncan.
Carter Duncan.
Yeah, we had Dawson Nagel. We had
Dawson Nagel, man.
Zach Murphy.
Man, talk about that senior class, man, a little bit.
We had a really strong senior class who I felt like bought in to what we were selling pretty early. And once I did get the job, in their defense, they were playing for their third head coach in 4 years. That's tough for any teenager. So one of my questions going in was, are these guys going to buy in? Are we going to have cancer on the team, or are they going to step up and be leaders? And they done everything we asked for. There were some rocky days, but that's true for every program. But I would say for the most part, those guys bought into what we were selling. Showed up every day. We never had any attendance issues. We didn't really have any discipline issues, and I feel I can truly look back now that the season's over and say that I think that every senior, if you went and asked them, would say that they had an enjoyable experience their senior year, and had fun and created a lot of memories that they can take on for the rest of their life. And they kind of helped get this program back on the right tracks, and I credit them for that. We didn't have the best season. It depended on who you asked, but we had the first winning season since 2014. Went 7-5, won some games that we probably shouldn't have. So I definitely tip my hat off to them, and hopefully, like I said, that they enjoyed their senior year.
Yeah, and how was your season here last year? Coming from the middle school and seeing all these kids, and taking that next step and coming on staff, how was your season?
Yeah, I'd say it was a learning experience for me too, right? From all fronts, right? Learning Coach Roberts, right? How Coach Roberts operates. Learning Coach Franklin, how Coach Franklin operates, right? Learning Coach Franklin's defense. Learning the kids, and then pivot to okay, right? How does preparation different on a week to week basis versus what maybe I was used to at the middle school level. So it's a lot of learning, a lot of I'm not I can talk, but I prefer to listen. And so it's a lot of listening last year. Learning different philosophies. Again, I think there's always 9 different ways to get to the same goal, and
exactly.
I think as much as you can learn, listen, you can kind of figure out your own path, and I think that's what last year was about for me. Was a lot of listening, a lot of learning.
Yeah, and it's kind of coming to a new staff, don't know coach very good, and kind of like taking that back seat, but learning. That's the whole thing. You learned a lot, so. That's just kudos on you, but you probably asked questions when when you didn't understand something. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I'm a big believer in ask first, right? Like when, especially I tell the kids all the time, man. If silence is understanding, right? And so speak up. There's for sure no such thing as a dumb question first time around. Right,
first time around,
the first time around, and I think we're trying to get them to be self advocates a little bit more, even right now. Like, hey, listen, like if we articulate something that's not sinking in right away, ask the question right then and there. Don't wait till 3-4 times down the road, because if you have that question right now, it's likely that the guy next to you, to the right, left, has that same question.
Yep.
But yeah,
and I talked to the kids about last season. They were overlooked in a lot of games. You know what I mean? Like I said, I picked J-Town to beat you guys in that playoff game, and I told myself I got to come out and I got to say that. You know what I mean? And tell you that. I picked J-Town, not because you know what I mean. You were on the road. You know what I mean? Second round of playoffs. I came to the Spencer County game. They kind of, they got the edge. I thought that's what J-Town was going to do, was going to get the edge on you guys. That's the only way I thought they were going to beat you guys. But you guys came out and you guys just bullied them the whole entire game, 48 minutes. It was just, boom, pounding on them. You know what I mean? It was close first half, but then the second half, you just broke them. How did you feel about getting overlooked, last season?
I think it started in the preseason. I'm a football high school junkie, and when the Cats Paws came out, I read it and I used it as bulletin board material for our team. And, we were picked 5th in the district out of 6 teams, and wasn't even supposed to make the playoffs. And I mentioned that multiple times throughout the year. That was preseason. Then we get to week 1 in Fern Creek, and everybody's picking Fern Creek. And then we get to week 2 in DeSales. And, so, I read the Courier Journal. I see what Jason Frakes and all those guys are picking. And most of the time, I don't really share that with the team. I'm sure they see it now. Everybody's on social media. Everybody sees that. But there are certain times where you feel like you need a little bit more motivation. So we kind of use some of that for motivation throughout the season. And then, the Spencer County game really, really hurt us. We felt like we were the better team going into the game. I knew that Spencer County was going to be tough. They run a system that's hard to prepare for if you don't see it every day in practice. But they also have, in my opinion, a future Hall of Fame coach, and Coach Marksberry. I think, my time at Collins, we played them every year. I've probably seen him 10-plus times, so I knew what to expect, and I knew they were going to be tough, gritty. So I knew it was going to be a tough game. But after that loss, I think that it humbled us a little bit, and that allowed us to kind of grow. So I knew going into the playoffs, we were going to be ready for a fight. Our kids didn't want the season to end. Our seniors wasn't ready for the season to end. And then that added motivation of J-Town being 9-1, best season they've had in a long time. It was like, okay, these guys are a team that we can go in and get our lick back, if you will.
Yeah, I love it, man. And that's why I was just like, man, I thought for sure, like, it was going to be a good game. But like I said, I thought they were going to set the edge. You know what I mean? I thought, oh, man, but it was exciting game, man. And Schmidl over there making the ESPN top 10. Jace just being Jace. And Noah, man. Noah is just a hard-nosed kid, man. Just a phenomenal kid.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say, too, that I feel like I have to just give credit to their parents is we have some pretty good football players, don't get me wrong, but every one of our kids are just great kids. It's one of those deals where I kind of use the analogy. If I'm a parent, I would trust every kid that you named, 98% of our football team, I would trust to babysit my own children. That's just how good of kids they are. We got some phenomenal kids. Jace, you mentioned Schmidl, Noah, all of those kids, good football players, really good athletes, but just great humans and great, people that's going to, go on and be great citizens in society.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you that same question. It's like, how did you feel? You know what I mean? Was that like your first season at the high school level?
Yeah, well, for sure in the last 20 years. I helped out to high school back when I was in my early 20s at Ballard, but yeah.
So how did that feel to you being overlooked?
I like it, right? I like playing with a little chip on my shoulder. I think we will not be overlooked this year. I think we'll be on radars. But I think a lot of people looked at North Oldham last year the way that they probably looked at North Oldham for the last 10 years, which is, hey, those guys, they got some athletes, they're okay, but they may not have the grit, they may not have the stick to it, right? And I think that's part of the culture that Coach Roberts brought in and changed. Like, these guys were here. We didn't bring in a bunch of new dudes, right? And so. I think that change in culture, that change in mindset, that expect to win mindset, right, made a world of difference last year.
Fired me up week 1. Fern Creek, monster game, and you guys out physical. You beat them up. You know what I mean? And at the end, I don't know if I have a picture I put it in here, but man. Student section was fired up. Everybody was in that little circle, man. Did you bring that tradition? Like, hey, let's bring the students on the field and be a part of this team?
Well, we did. We got a little pushback from the admin. I think mainly just because it was new to them. They weren't used to that. But at both of my previous schools, that was something that we did is we invited the student section and the parents onto the field after every game. Because it takes a village, and they're part of our football community, but also just our community in general. So I kind of like to, celebrate the wins with the student section and parents, because it sounds cliche, but without them, we wouldn't be who we are. So I like for them to kind of reap that reward as well.
I loved it. It fired me up, man. I was like, Coach Roberts was walking up and down there. He was just circling that thing, and you were
Blood
juiced.
Pressure was sky high.
You were juiced,
awesome, man. It's awesome. Yeah.
Oh man, go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say, just kind of piggybacking off of you talked about Fern Creek being a monster game. Obviously, that's my first game as the head coach at North Oldham. We still preach to the kids here. We just said it yesterday, Coach McGraw and I. We're never going to be the biggest here at North Oldham. We're never going to be the strongest. Fern Creek was bigger. Fern Creek was stronger. Fern Creek was faster, but we pride ourselves in being in shape. We pride ourselves in being disciplined on the field and pride ourselves with our football IQ and just being smart, not making silly mistakes. And I think as the game wore on, that's where we kind of separated ourselves because, if you were at the game, they probably had more athletes than us. We're a little bit more athletic, a little faster, but we were in good shape, and as the game wore on, we just kind of separated ourselves.
Yeah, and when I knew it kind of tilted, They have Ramari Taylor, the DB. When he started talking, I knew you guys were in their mental, man, because he couldn't stop talking. He was just like blah blah blah. And they had, if you don't know, Fern Creek, they had D1s all over that field that night, and you guys just brung it to them.
Well, we had the opportunity to coach, in the GLFCA All-Star game, so it's really cool to actually get to know some of those kids after the season on a personal level and just kind of talk with them. And we had a great time. And, Coach McGraw actually just said it yesterday as well. He was like, some of my favorite kids that we coached in an All-Star game were the Fern Creek kids. They were just great kids, man. They came over here for practice and really let loose and we gelled and, they kind of talked about how we shouldn't have beat them, but they showed a lot of respect. But it's just kind of cool being close to the Louisville area and getting to play those guys on Friday nights, but then after the season kind of get to know them a little bit more on a personal level and it was a cool experience.
Yeah, we're almost done, but if you haven't, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you comment, do whatever you got to do. Share this out. Phenomenal podcast. We're here back at North Oldham. Coach Roberts, Coach McGraw, phenomenal episode. But what I like to do is, bring it back to last year and talk about the good, bad, the ugly. What was some of the good?
I would say the good, first winning season since 2014. We established a culture. We have kids that have confidence now, that believe that we have what it takes to be a good football team. We beat crosstown rival Oldham County. I think that's a positive. So we just set some expectations and kind of set our culture and what we expect for Mustang football to be for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and McGraw, what did you see? Like the bad.
Yeah, I think especially as we point towards that Spencer County game, I think I think we were at a point in the season that a lot of our guys weren't used to. Right, we had a fair amount of success, throughout that first part of the season and coming into Spencer County, and I think we got a little overconfident. I think we got a little comfortable. And I think you saw that play out on the field. Maybe looking a little bit too hard. Or that Oldham County rivalry game was a fast follow. And so I think we got ahead of ourselves. And it's something that you do as you start to encounter more and more success. You got to learn how to deal with that success. You got to learn how. Once Friday night's over, you enjoy it, but now it's like it's in the past. You gotta focus on the next one, and we got to do a little bit of a better job of hopefully maintaining that success and still maintaining our focus and get after it along with it.
Yeah, and now the ugly part, man, Coach. You guys had to deal with some injuries. Every program does. But you got a kid that's up and coming. Luke Tompkins. I know this isn't the ugly, but I just wanted to touch on this. Did injuries kind of I know because his was like a nagging injury. You know what I mean? Like, was that kind of frustrating?
So my coaching answer would be injuries is part of the game. We can't, sit back and cry over injuries. But the realistic answer is that definitely played a huge part in our season. I think we had one game, actually not even one game because we had a lineman out where we had our entire starting group. We didn't have a single game where everybody that was a preseason starter played in that game. So injuries killed us. We had multiple collarbone injuries. Luke breaks his right collarbone, comes back for a game and a half, and then breaks his left collarbone. Never seen anything like it in my life. So we lost Luke. We had, multiple guys out. We lost one of our starting linemen, broke his collarbone against Tate's Creek, missed multiple games. So we had quite a few injuries throughout the season that really hindered us. I was just telling one of my other assistants the other day, I would love to see what our team looked like fully healthy. I think that we would have, made a run. But that's part of the game, So we try to, as best as we could, have a next man up mentality. We're not very deep, but our kids, but you still got to put 11 out there one way or the other. So I think we've done a great job. I think our kids that did have to kind of be thrown to the fire a little bit stepped up and played some valuable valuable minutes. Now, on the flip side of that, I think that benefits us for this year because now they have some varsity experience that they got last year that maybe they wouldn't have had as much. But yeah, the injuries definitely hurt. Last year, I was definitely one of the uglies for sure.
Yeah, and is that the only ugly, or is there any other ugly that you wanted to?
I mean, in my opinion, the 2 blowouts to Franklin County is ugly. Anytime you go out and perform the way that we did against them is ugly. You want to at least go out and be competitive. I'm a very realistic person. They were a better team than us, but I don't know if they were what the score indicated much better than us, if that makes sense. We could have at least went out there and competed and gave them a little bit of a fight. The Spencer County game was ugly. That game had a lot of that had huge playoff implications on the line. If we beat Spencer County, we're hosting a playoff game, first time in a long time, and we're also not having to see Franklin County in the second round. So just that one game changed our playoff implications. So looking back at it, I think that was one of the uglies as well, because I think that based on matchups and who we would have played instead of Franklin County, we could have probably advanced a little further in the playoffs. But hopefully that's the goal this year.
Yeah, and I don't want you to ever think this, but I will put this on me. The officiating, you know what I mean, in that game was kind of suspect too. You know what I mean? You guys converted that first down. They said it, you didn't. You know what I mean? So it was just Key's plays that really just that hurt you guys in that game.
You know, and it's one of those deals where if you take care of business, then you take it out of the hands of the officials. So there were some other plays that we didn't convert that, you know, that the officials had no say in it. You know, that we shouldn't have even let it get to that point. If it's a close game and you allow the officials to make the decision, guess what? They're human beings too. Sometimes they make mistakes or they don't see things the way that you see it. That's part of sports. I think it's the beautiful part of sports. You know, it's great life lessons. Because it shows you that things aren't always going to go your way. You know, so we always try to use football to also teach life, and it you know, now that the season's over, and we do feel like there were some calls that maybe did get missed, but that's just our opinion, and you know, I ain't one that's going to sit here and put the blame on the refs.
Class act right there.
So.
Class act, coach. And that's what I'm trying to bring your community, you know what I mean, to get to know you guys, man. And that's what it's about. Get to know you on a personal level. Man, we're all human. You know what I mean? But the culture that you're bringing here is phenomenal, man. Your first full season here. But who are those young guys, man, that you've been seeing, you know, working? You want to shout some of those out?
Yeah, I mean, so you've talked to a couple of them today,
right?
And that you got Morty and you got Luke Tompkins, you know, Schmidl, right? Jack Sims, but you've got some young guys coming up too. I think expecting big seasons out, guys like Christopher Richardson, right? He was a freshman last year. Didn't see him a lot on Friday nights. Saw him a little bit on Friday nights, but tremendous work in the weight room. Like, he looks like an entirely different kid.
Yeah.
Right. So super excited to see what that looks like. Guys like AJ Paul and Carlin Swaggart. Those guys that probably didn't look the part last year as much, right? A little tall and lanky, looked the part this year, and now excited to see, right? If, you know, again, everybody looks great, but excited to see those guys get out there and compete and see what they can bring to the table.
Yeah, there you go. Is there anybody that you want to spotlight real quick?
Yeah, I knew he wasn't going to mention his name because it's his son, but Harrison McGraw, you know, he was a freshman last year, started every game for us that he was healthy. You know, he missed a couple games. He was the kid I was talking about that broke his collarbone against Tates Creek. But to start on the offensive line as a true freshman is tremendous. We threw the ball 374 times last year, and we allowed 10 sacks on the season. That's a great stat for the people that really know football. And for us to get 4 of our 5 offensive linemen back, we're very excited by that. But that's also but Harrison's going to be one of those guys. You know, we got Grady Anthony, who just committed to U of L. Very excited about him. Another young guy, he's a freshman. He'll be a sophomore, Connor Nesmith. I think Connor Nesmith, we call him C-Nez, has really worked his butt off in the offseason, gotten stronger, and he's competing for a starting job right now as well. We got some young talent that I think is going to, raise some eyes this year and fill in some roles that we lost last year and play some important snaps for us.
There you go. Phenomenal episode. Like I said, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Phenomenal episode, man. Like I said, this is about, your community, getting to know you guys on a personal level, man, and just, support any way they can, you know what I mean, for this program. You got any fundraisers or anything coming up?
We're doing like an online donation coming up. We're always, you can always write a check. You can reach out to me on social media if you would like to donate, and give back to our kids. Every 100% of profits go back directly back to the kids. Obviously, we're trying to put them in the nicest gear. We're feeding them protein shakes and things of that nature. So always looking for donations. But we're not running any current fundraisers at the moment. We will be soon, but we always can take donations and things like that. But I know you're always shouting us out, and I'll just give you a shout out. We love the what you do and the pub that you give for not us. I could care less if you ever have me on here again, but what you do for the student athletes, because for the ones that do have dreams and aspirations of going to college, it gives them some practice in front of the microphone, so that way their first time talking to the media isn't as a freshman in college. They get that nervousness kind of out of their system and get used to being on a screen and being in front of a microphone. So I appreciate any time that you're on campus, and you're always welcome. So shout out to what you do for sure.
No, I appreciate that, man. But like I say, everyone has a story. I'm here for them to tell it. Cleats to Whistle Podcast.